Hey guys, welcome back. Today I have yet another growth updates video, except today we're gonna do a bit of then versus now, which is when I put in some old footage of a plant so we can do kind of a before and after comparison. As of right now, when I'm filming this, I don't know precisely which footage I'm gonna pull for each plant. Some I know for sure, but some I have like a vague memory of when I might have shown it last. So if my description of like when this footage is from is not clear, I'm gonna put in a little bit of like a correction in text. I do plan on doing another one of these like maybe in a few months or so, because I have been taking much better care of my plants in the last 3 months, I would say, compared to this time a year ago when I was so busy and just like not really into it. I mean, I am still busy, but it's just I'm finding the time to really take care of my plants. I've been up potting a little bit more regularly, kind of chipping away at my plant chores list. As you can see, it's still bin city behind me. There's like 4.5 bins of plants I've yet to move them out of my house. Those are all from the last restock, which is going to be leaving my house in the next few days, which by the way, thank you guys so much for all the support on the restock. I can't tell you how much it means to me for all the support, and I hope you guys like your plants. And also I'm very much looking forward to having less plants in this room, because I do plan on doing like a mid-size reorganization of the plant shelves behind me. So after that's kind of done, I want to do a little bit of walkthrough, but for today we're going to do a little then versus now growth updates video. The first one is not a then versus now. Think of this as like a down payment on a future then versus now. Me and Charmaine did a little bit of a trade a week ago. We did a little Alocasia trade. So I traded her the larger one of my Variegated nobilis. So I got 2 of these from my friend Justin, and this is the one I kept. It's a little bit smaller. It's a very nice arrangement me and Charmaine have, because she has high ceilings and she's kind of cut down her collection a lot as well. So she's got a lot more space in a way for plants. So I always give her my large plants when they start to give me the ick, because I don't know if this is like a hot take. I don't think growing plants as big as they possibly can is a feasible goal in houseplant keeping. Like, it does feel really good, but I generally start to dislike plants more when they get to an unmanageable size. You know, something for everyone. She likes it, I don't. It's a very nice arrangement for us. So she got the bigger one of the Variegated nobilis, which she said was like the only plant on her wish list, or maybe the only wish list alocasia she had. So that was a great little trade, because I got one of my wish list alocasia, which is a pink black velvet. Look at this tiny little baby. It is so cute. This came off of a corm of her mother plant, which I think she got as a like a cormling from Katie Ann Plants. Correct me if I'm wrong, probably. She's not watching this, so she can't correct me. Let's just say it was from Katie Ann Plants. I'm pretty sure it was. She got it when she was in California, and this has such nice variegation. It's quite a lot of variegation. There's a new leaf coming in. Let me just rotate it a bit so you can see there's a good amount of green on it, but it also looks quite variegated. So I don't think I'm going to be able to grow this in ambient, because I think all the variegated parts are just gonna brown off. There's a little leaf down here. You can kind of see that it's starting to brown a little bit, and this has been living inside of a dome. So it's gonna be, unless it starts to produce more green, it's gonna be tent or dome for the foreseeable future. I'm actually kind of surprised I held off this long without purchasing pink black velvet, because the opportunity has been there, but I've just kind of like been thinking like one day I'll get it. But I genuinely really like the black velvet because it has such a nice tight growth pattern. It doesn't have super long petioles. Like, I like the nobilis, I really do. And this is one of my boyfriend's favorite plants, like the green version. He kind of likes the variegated version, but I think he liked the green version more. So I kind of enjoyed growing this because he liked it so much, and it's a fairly easygoing alocasia. But the thing is, the petioles are so stinking long on it. So it's going to be pretty soon I'm going to have to repot it. There's quite a lot of roots in here. I'm gonna have to repot it into probably like a glass vessel when I have time to make some more DIY pond. And I don't know how much longer it's going to be living in my tent, because it's gonna get really tall. So that's one thing I really enjoy about black velvet, because just like it stays like a nice compact little thing, very much like the Mellow or the hybrid Maharani. I've never grown this plant before, and I don't know much about variegated alocasia. I know that this came off of a mother plant that has quite a lot of pink. Is the level of pink a maturity thing or a light thing? Is there anything that can help manipulate the pink? If you guys know, please let me know. In the meantime, I'm gonna give it like nice, bright, but not a intense lighting, and I'll probably, this was in my dome with quite a lot of light. I might move it into my tent today just so I can keep a closer eye on it because I don't want it to dry out. So it's not going to get as much light anymore, but it's quite bright inside my tent. I have a feeling based on not much really that it will get more pink with maturity, but if you guys know for certain, please let me know. Next up is my beloved King of Spades, like my original one. The last time you would have seen it would have been possibly when I was kind of cutting down and like pruning my shelf, and I showed you this plant. I think I cut off all but one leaf, and the one leaf I left behind, I felt like I had to for it to actually grow. I really hated looking at that leaf because there was like thrips damage on it. It was torn on the edges, but I felt like I had to because some plants I feel comfortable cutting off all the leaves and getting it to regrow from a stump. But the King of Spades in particular, in the past when I've taken props of it with no leaf whatsoever, the stem just dies. So I wasn't very comfortable doing that. So I just left that really ugly leaf on. And King of Spades in general grow quite slowly, and mine definitely fits that bill. So it took a little while, but we finally have a new leaf, and it's not perfect, but it is so much better. But I'm just so glad that it's not overly torn. There's no thrips damage on it. There's a little bit of, if you can see, there's like little dots here. This is kind of like the mucilage of the plant. It's kind of shiny, and I don't like to wash it off at this stage when it's so bumpy because it's gonna leave some marks. So maybe in the future, I'll give it a little bit of a bath once the leaf is fully hardened off. And I'm so happy to see a fully formed leaf on this so I can cut this leaf off because there's thrips damage kind of all over, but it's really bad right here. You can see the squiggles. Prior to this leaf, it had flowered, and I did actually get around to collecting the pollen on it. So it's in my freezer, my little pollen organizer. I don't know what exactly I want to do with it. I think it would be really cute to have a Carla King of Spades hybrid. I did try breeding my King of Spades with my Ace of Spades together. Did not work. I really enjoy when King of Spades is hybridized with something super dark, like blackish and minimal. So that's why I wanted to do with Ace of Spades, because I wanted something like really dark with that pinstripe venation. I'm looking around and I don't really see a good candidate that's dark and minimal. Anything that I have dark and minimal that's flowering is more of like a sharp and elongated thing, like a PAP or my BVET by DF. But I feel like I'm envisioning something more heart-shaped. Anyway, all that to say, maybe I'll cross this with my Carla one day. A cross between these two plants, I would expect something quite blackish, like the Carla, with some King of Spades, like shaped venation, but just thickened up. That would be like my imagined result. I had sold a prop of this King of Spades to Pau and Josh, and Pau just told me that they had crossed it with another King of Spades. So fingers crossed that it works out, because we all know King of Spades is not like, it's like a pretty temperamental breeding. You're lucky to get a few good seeds out of it, but for me, whenever I use this as pollen, the seedling yield, a lot of the seeds rotted, which is like such a mystery to me. So yeah, there's something about King of Spades that makes it a volatile breeding partner, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed for Pau and Josh, because more King of Spades with two really pretty like round fat specimens is always welcome, I think, in the anthurium community. Next up, I wanted to do my Home Depot Michelle, which I got, let me see. Okay, I would have gotten it about January of last year, so just over a year ago. If you were Michelle hunting at the time they were dropping in random Home Depots all over the US, you will know that it was really hit or miss as to what you were going to get. I've seen pictures of ones that look like identical to the tag photo, which is just like the perfect round, veiny, like colorful Michelle. And there's ones that just look like they've been through a blender. So when a beautiful soul named Sydney messaged me asking if I wanted a Michelle because she was about to go Michelle hunting and she's in California, I said yes, because I really wanted one. Honestly, I can't tell the difference between Zara and Michelle, and I just wanted more red crystallinums in my life. When I was at IAS, I saw like the Michelle that was on display at the Rare Plant Fairy booth, and I also saw other Michelles they were selling, and I held off at that point, but it was still a wish list plant for me. So I took her up on the offer, and she was so kind, and she got one for me, one for Charmaine, one for Jing, one for Charmaine's mom. The unfortunate thing is that the selection that she had at the Home Depots that she went to, I think she went to a few, were all of the blender variety. They were really ripped up and stuff. So the one that I got was kind of ripped up in places, and the venation was kind of strange. It had this like webby kind of, like it was clustered in some places. I don't know if that was a stress thing or anything. So a year and some change later, this is what she looks like. It's not very big, but it does look very different from when I first got it. It's very round. So this one has been through a bit of a journey. So when it came to us, it was in like the dock block kind of peat mix, but Sydney had so kindly like kind of top dressed it with tree fern because it was in a tiny pot for the size of the plant, and it was kind of unstable and wobbling around a lot, so she topped it with a bunch of tree fern. So when I got it, I was still using this tree fern soil blend that I no longer use. It was using sea soil, which is like a composted forest fine soil that I like to use in my outdoor plants, and I was like, maybe I can cut down on my peat consumption by using composted soil like that. Some plants were fine with it, but a lot of my anthurium didn't like it and it declined a lot. So this was one of those plants that was in that mix. It was doing really poorly. It was putting out, like every leaf was kind of half munched up. So now with this, with like one of those classic anthurium bullet holes, it's not perfect, but it is miles better than what it was in the sea soil. So I had moved it out of that blend into just tree fern with DIY pond mix through, and it's just been doing so much better. It hasn't sized up yet. I don't think it really needs a repot. I can see a good amount of roots on the side of the pot, but like nothing near root bound or anything. And despite it not being full of roots, I need to water this like maybe every 5 days because you can see it kind of needs a water right now. It's pretty dry except for maybe in this region, and I only watered it maybe 4 or 5 days ago. So this plant is doing okay in ambient for me. It's not like some sort of ambient champion where it's pushing out pristine leaves in low humidity, but it's doing okay. Next up, I have another red crystal. So this is a comparison of footage not too long ago. I think it was in my tent reset video. So in that video, I was cutting off old leaves and I kept this one new leaf on my red crystal that didn't form properly, and it was like, I called it a lollipop, but someone said it looked like the British flag, and indeed it does look like the Union Jack. It was just like the funniest looking thing. So since then it has pushed out a new leaf and it is looking so much better. It is just like a fully formed leaf. So comparing it to the little Union Jack lollipop, it is just, I don't know, like it's a night and day difference. I haven't really done anything different to my knowledge. Like maybe, I don't know. I want to say that I was more on top of the watering, but I have been on top of the watering, and I was on top of the watering with this leaf. This plant just seems to do that. I remember when I got it as a kind of little baby prop from Amanda, she gave it to me with like fully formed leaves. And then in my care, it was growing like leaves that looked like a begonia, like an annoying begonia leaf. And then randomly it'll just like put out a leaf that looks like this. So it just comes and goes. I don't know what it is with this plant, but that means like I don't think it's a very strong plant in terms of being able to breed with it, use it as a seed parent. I don't necessarily think that the world needs another red crystal hybrid. There's plenty out there, so there's no plans to breed with it. But if your plant is doing that and is having trouble holding on to leaves and putting out lollipops like this, I would probably steer clear of using it as a seed parent because it might just be a bit of a disappointment once you go through the whole gestation process, harvest, and plant the seeds, and then you don't get like healthy, robust plants out of it. That would be my guess as to what would turn out. I would lean towards using it as a pollen parent. Not that I am some sort of breeding expert, but I've had my fair share of disappointments from less than strong mother plants. And not to mention, if your plant is prone to doing stuff like this, having it produce berries is going to make it look even worse, because I've had much stronger plants than that totally crash after producing berries. So that's just something to be aware of, like how much are you willing to sacrifice of your mother plant. So anyway, this plant is looking delicious and pink, and I can't see any sort of tearing or ripping on the edges, and there's a little bit of a scratch right here, unfortunately. I was repotting up the plant next to it and into like a much bigger pot, and I shoved it in there and it must have grazed this plant. I don't recall it grazing. There's a spider web. I don't recall it grazing, but there's a little bit of surface damage. But other than that, it was quite perfect. And I can't really tell you why, because I haven't done anything different, and it really does need a repot. Next up is a BVEP that I had gotten from Jorge, or Anthurium Story. He sent me one of his BVEPs. It came to me as like not a tiny little seedling, but not like a large seedling either. It's kind of somewhere in between, and it wasn't showing much characteristics at that point. It was growing okay in my tent, but it was getting super crowded, and it was growing into other things. It was getting shaded by other things, and I was letting it dry out because it was covered by other plants, and there was like a think it was a pest, not out full-blown outbreak, but there was some pests in my tent. So after pest treatment and everything, I moved it into this exo here. And this is the only exo I have left. And it is pretty high humidity because there's a full glass panel on top that fully seals the mesh. So any airflow only comes from the little ventilation holes on the side or if I open the doors. So that was November 2024. So a year and 4 months or so. And now it's not huge, but it looks like this. And for those who've been around for a while, you guys know my struggles with BVEP. I find them really hard to grow. I find them hard to preserve nice leaves on. I find a lot of them, like my main one that actually grows, that one is beautiful when it has a new leaf, but over time I'll always get like an orange halo around the leaf or like just random crisping even though it hasn't dried out and the roots look fine. I also find that lighting for BVEP is really hard to get right, to preserve that dark color but still promote growth. But this one just like, it's been pretty easygoing. Like I've let this fully dry out before and it hasn't thrown a fit the way my other BVEPs have. For full context, I have 2 BVEP other than this, and both of them are pretty hard to grow. This one just kind of acts like all my other anthurium, like it doesn't love drying out. This one is currently in Tree Fern Pond. You can see the roots. There's like, it's pretty thin, like BVEP roots. They don't like drying out, but this one has tolerated it. And every now and then it'll put out a leaf like this if I let it dry out while it's putting out a new leaf, but it's held on to other leaves without them looking too terrible. I watered this a couple days ago, and when I watered it, I noticed it was pretty dry, which for my other BVEP would have been like Crisp City, but this one, like, it didn't show any damage, it wasn't wilting, and the leaf still ended up forming pretty okay, and it's really quite red. I hope you can see the color that I'm seeing. Yeah, I think it's showing up okay. It's like quite an orangey red, like a pretty deep orangey red. With past leaves, I've noticed the veins were more red than this. For some reason, it's pretty green on this one, and the petioles are longer than my other BVEPs, but like, this just goes to show that some BVEPs can be easygoing. Actually, that part where I said I only had 2 other BVEPs, that was a bold-faced lie. I have 2 more, but they're still little babies, so forgive me that I forgot about it. These I got as seedlings from Pao and Josh. So this is what they call BVEP T1 by Tazula F4. And they came as like tiny little sprouts. It was about 9 months ago that I got them, and they've been living in this bin ever since. And actually, I want to say that these ones have been quite easy. Unfortunately, they have grown to hit the lid of the bin, and so they got a little bit squashed. But here's one of them. But look how delicious and puffy it looks, even though it's a little bit warped. And here's the newest leaf, and every leaf has been quite pillowy. Like the venation on it has been really nice, and it's pretty dark for just living in this area. It has a Barina bar here. It's not super high light or anything because it's like off to the side, so it's not directly under the light. So the color has been quite nice on it, and I do plan on moving it into the tent this week because I have like plans moving out from the restock. I'm gonna have a lot more space. Here is the other one. This is a leaf that got squashed, and this is the newest leaf. So this one's probably gonna be hitting the roof of the bin. You can kind of see like how it's protruding above the bin right now. These ones actually have been quite easy as well, and they're in a very heavily amended tree fern with DIY pond. So there's a lot of pumice and zeolite and black lava rock in there. There's, I think, also a bit of orchiata. I think. Yes, I see some orchiata. I like both of these quite a lot. This one's got a little bit more texture, but if I were to choose, I like this one more. It's ever so slightly darker, which I obviously like, but it's got this nice blend of puffiness with a very smooth leaf. So I'm quite looking forward to this sizing up in my tent. I will move this up into a 4-inch pot and see where that goes, because I think this will dry out much faster in my tent with a lot more kind of airflow. So this might possibly be more footage for future then versus now with this plant. Anyways, I just walked around my plant room just to make sure I didn't miss anything that I wanted to show today. I think that is everything today. Once again, a few days from now when I'm filming this, these bins will be out of here. I'll be able to reorganize, and hopefully the next video after this will be a walkthrough of everything just so you can see more plants all at once. It's been really encouraging to see some plants bounce back in the last few months. So I'm looking also forward to doing the next walkthrough after that, maybe near the tail end of summer, just so we can see like what good things might happen when you actually water your plants. But with that, I'm going to leave you here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope your day has been lovely so far. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Mwah.